Hey, good morning guys. Welcome back to another video. Continuing on here, I didn't really want to make a series out of this. I was just, showing how to use a wool blanket properly in the wintertime months and be able to be warm at night. But a lot of questions have come up from that, so as they come in, if I get a lot of them like I have for this particular video, I'll try to answer them as best I can. So I've already done this particular video. It's Saja's Preferred Clothing, I think it was, something like that. It's on my channel. You go ahead and check that out. I didn't pull everything I have out to reshoot that whole video again. Like I said, it's already up. So I just grabbed a few things. I wanted to talk about a couple specific questions that I had and what I do to combat these issues personally. So again, going along with the long log fire and the wool blanket and things we've talked about in the past couple videos, another thing you have to consider is, proper dress. Your mom or pop probably did it for you when you were a kid, dressed you up in layers. This is nothing new. It's not rocket science. It's basic stuff that pretty much everybody knows, yet there's still questions. So what I wore at the advanced class for clothing is exactly what you see here. Less the wool pants. I actually wore a pair of Versatac mids. The pants I wear the majority of the time, if not always. I got different types of them: Versatac lights, Versatac mids, and these are the Rail Rider pants. Pretty expensive. They're good pants. What it really boils down to is how do you layer yourself accordingly. Now, yeah, wool's a great item, but there's a lot of synthetic stuff out there that's just as good, and if not better in some cases. I personally just prefer as much wool as I can get, and that's just me. I'm not saying it's the best, so, don't take it that way. So, under what I have on here, start off with the feet. Obviously, wool pair of socks. I have two different types, and I have a whole bunch of them. One is kind of a wool hiker type sock, and the other one's, a bit thicker, winter weight type wool sock. For underwear, I pretty much wear an Under Armour, poly type material. They're just comfortable, and I found, in a bunch of different environments, they're the best all around for, combat chafing in the heat, and, it keeps you warm in the winter and cold temperatures as well. So that's the drawers. Moving up from there for a base layer, when it's real cold anyways, I wear another poly type stuff. It's Under Armour type stuff. Again, I've showed this in a video already. It's Polartec is the company that makes it, and in the military we call it a ninja suit. I got black, I got tan ones, and they're pretty lightweight, but again, it's that poly type material, similar to the Under Armour stuff. So that goes on first and foremost. Again, if it's extremely cold out, I'll go with, another insulation layer on top of that. And I have a couple different types of that as well. Again, you can refer back to the other video. But one of them is a waffle type set. Again, it's synthetic stuff, but it's very, very warm. I have both the tops and bottoms to those. And then I have another heavier weight, and probably the warmest of the three is just another Poly Pro is what we call it in the military. I'll take my top off here so you guys can see the shirt here in a minute, but it's a thick brown Poly Pro is what it is. So I have the base layer on, I have a layer of Poly Pro over that, and then my outer layer is usually wool out here. Now this is one of the questions or comments that I had on a past video, is some people forget, the windbreaker value of an additional clothing item. And in most cases, that's true. So when it gets real cold, inclement weather, rain, wind, stuff like that, I'll go ahead and use my Anorak. It's really good at combating those issues, and it works very well with the wool. So back to the legs. Base layer, of the Ninja Suit or the lightweight Poly Pro. An additional layer. Right now it's morning time. It's right around 19 degrees up here in New Hampshire, so it's a little chilly. And then I have an outer layer today of wool pants, which I've shown or have worn in the past couple videos. During my advanced class, again, all I had on was the same 2 base layers, but I went with the Rail Rider pants as my outer shell, and it worked fine. As far as the tops go, again, silk weight Poly Pro, additional insulation layer on top of that with either the waffle top or the thicker, you know, Poly Pro that I have on today, and then usually just a wool type outer garment is all, and I have different ones of those. This is the Duluth one here that I wear quite frequently, you know, the infamous Boreal Bushcraft shirt, which is phenomenal. Again, quite expensive, but it's definitely a nice piece of clothing. But again, back to the wind and the rain issues. You know, if it's very windy, sometimes you can feel that wind breaking right through that wool. And again, it really depends on how are you layered underneath that wool if you're using that for your outer garment. So again, when it gets nasty for me, I throw on the anorak, you know, be done with it. And there's, again, other materials out there. Gore-Tex is a good one. I have a whole complete set of Gore-Tex I wore in my Trappers series last year, and you know, that's tough to beat. Again, depending on what you do though, I like to have a fire. I'm always out in the woods. I have a camp, I have a campfire. I use the fire at night. So those type of materials ain't very conducive to using with a fire. So again, I prefer the wool, and that's just another question I had was a gentleman, and I'm sorry I can't remember his screen name now to save my life, but he had a question on hunting, and his feet typically get cold up in his tree stand, and mine mentions having a I think it was a pair of wool socks from Walmart or something like that, and you know, you're heading in the right direction with the wool. Sometimes it takes a couple layers of socks, you know, but generally the reason I found that my feet got cold out in my tree stand is the walking out there portion of it, and even prior to that, all your prep work at home, you know, getting dressed at home, putting all those layers on, heading out to your vehicle or walking right out into the woods, whatever the case may be. By the time you walk out there, you know, maybe carrying your tree stand if it's a climber, or your gun, your bow, your gear, whatever the case may be, by the time you get out there, your feet sweat really, really bad. And by the time you get out there, whether you notice it or not, they've already sweated quite a bit. So what I've learned over the years and what I do to combat that is I just take an extra pair of socks. Once I get up in my tree stand, you know, I've probably made a little bit of noise on my way in there to begin with. So I give it a good half hour or longer to let things settle down. As soon as I get up in the tree, I just go ahead and change my socks. And the same thing goes, you know, at nighttime just before you bed down. That plays a key factor in changing your socks. I can't stress enough how important that is, you know, right before bedtime. And like I said, if you're in your stand, that's the first thing I do when I get there. You know, you don't even need to have a pack or any type of gear to be carried with you other than your firearm or your bow, whatever it is you're using. But you can easily throw a pair of socks right into the pocket and you're good. Once you get out there, go ahead and change them, and your feet will stay warmer a lot longer. I've heard a lot of people use the hand warmers and stuff like that and put them in their boots. I've never done that personally. I guess it could work, but all that extra heat is going to make your feet sweat when them hand warmers run out. I don't even know how long they're good for, 8 hours maybe, something like that. But your feet are sweating even more with them in there, and once they wear off, your feet are going to get even more cold. So maybe a couple layer of socks I've done in the past. Again, change your socks once you get out there. You'll probably see a huge difference. Another thing that will help that, I don't know what you're wearing for footwear, but typically pullover type boots. These are the Arctic Pro Muck boots. They're really good, and they're non-restrictive to the foot and the leg. There's nothing to lace up here. It's not cutting off your circulation. So, you know, there's a lot of hunting type boots out there and different types of boots, but if you're wearing something that laces up, generally that'll cut off circulation to your foot and in turn make it cold. So in the winter time, a good pair of just pullover type boots that are insulated is another good thing. Also, I have quite a few pairs of footwear. Today I'm wearing my Mucks again. I got the Arctic Pro Mucks, you know. It all depends on how I feel, what I wear. I do have a pair of Mucklucks, you know, for the snow and when I go snowshoeing and stuff like that. Those are really good. Probably my favorite footwear out of all of them if we have snow, just because they're so light and comfortable, yet they're very, very warm, you know. And then I have another pair of Rocky boots that I've had for years and years that is probably the warmest boot I've ever put on my feet. And I bought them specifically to combat that cold feet in my tree stand syndrome there. And they work just as well. I don't think they make those anymore. But again, I've done all this, guys, in a past video. I just had some questions. I wanted to shoot it, continue on with the past couple videos I've done, answer those questions, and talk a little bit about layering and what I use. So it may or may not work for you. You got to get out there again, try things out for yourself is the only way you're going to make that happen. So I appreciate your views, appreciate your comments, all your support as always. Until the next one, take care.